afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Sunday, November 10, 2024, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. Most of us aren't into stillness. And stillness is the greatest achievement one can have in this life, Papaji. Now, it's pretty, those of us who are somewhat aware to comprehend the fact that when you have all that energy burning around you all over the place and all of the information overload constantly, and you're looking at this or watching that and listening to this, and it's just a constant flood of all kinds of information. And it's incessant. It never ends. So it's not unusual to feel a bit overstimulated and overwhelmed by this complicated, fast-paced systems we're all operating within. Now, most of us don't even realize this because we're so acclimated to operating in it. And you have excitement, enthusiasm, new events, changes, and shifts. And this planet's consciousness is changing faster, way faster than ever before. And sometimes our minds will they'll have trouble navigating these changes, putting it simply. The good news is that you have a choice. You do not have to let chaotic feelings of overwhelm rule your existence. You can learn how to let go, relax, and remain receptive to what life has to offer you. You can choose to refocus your energies on what is healing and create a more relaxed and enjoyable way of living that deeply nourishes your body, mind, and soul. Now, it's good to know that we humans can only reap the richest and most fulfilling rewards life has to offer when we are living life from a relaxed, centered, and peaceful place. How many of us are doing that right now? A centered, relaxed, peaceful place. One might say, how come the planet has been in such turmoil? I shouldn't say the planet. How about the civilization? All these years and ages and as far as existence. And yet we still find ourselves in conflict, dissension, artificial separation, and not being able to be one. Well, when you have it's pretty simple. When we're all programmed, because we all are, we're still being programmed in this very now moment. So it's not unusual to realize that we are trained. We are trained to believe that we are separate. We are trained to believe that we are not one. We are trained to believe that same information that we are giving, or we're being given, is the same information that's been given throughout eons. So figure that one. In different ways, that information has been laid down and programmed each generation of the civilization. Now, when you do that, it's pretty much a no-brainer. We have, most of us, totally. I mean, it's like you're standing next to someone, and you're both looking at the same thing. No, it's exact. You're both looking at the same thing. Now, your perspective is one way. There's another way. And you go, well, I see this, and, notice this over here and that. And then they're saying that they don't see this, and they don't see that, and this is the way it really is. Now, there's no agreement there. Because ego mind pushes, well, I'm right and you're wrong. It's heavy ego mind. I'm right, you're wrong. Now, how do we, as a civilization, species, because there's so many different kinds of us on this planet, we have Homo, which means human, sapien, which means hybrid. So we have a tremendous diversity of us, okay, in different specific species form. Now, we don't look much different, really, okay, but we are. Sometimes you'll see someone with a very high forehead, large eyes, and they're humanoid. They aren't originals. They're human hybrids. And, we've got sapiens on this planet. So, needless to say, we have a tremendous amount of diversity. Huge. So everybody has an opinion, and everybody sees things the way they want to see them. And everybody hears things the way they want to hear them. Now, one would say, well, how come we're so repetitive? We keep repeating things. I look at this and I read about this, and then I notice that, wow, this is happening now, and it was 100 years ago it was happening then. Why is that? Why do we seem to have this repeat and repeat with our civilization? What is the root challenge? What is the root cause of that? Well, and I emphasize this, you've heard me talk about it before, is that most of the people on this planet are bicameral. Okay? There's a difference because when we were all bicameral a few thousand years ago, we weren't consciously aware that we were conscious beings. Okay? Then we became conscious beings. But today, in this very now moment, the majority of the population of this species on this planet is bicameral. Now, how do we know that? It's not a judgment, it's an observation. How do we know that? Well, you just look at responses from the population. Perspectives, attitudes, viewpoints. And it doesn't take long to identify the fact that these are bicameral beings. Now, when you're communicating, right? We all do that. You have friends and you have relatives, and you have loved ones, and some strangers thrown in here and there. But when you're communicating with someone and you want to get your information, your belief pattern, you want to deliver that to them, right? You're passionate about it. So you begin to deliver it to them, and it's like a rubber ball bouncing off of a wall. And you go, what's wrong with this being? How come they're not receptive to this? This is, and for you, it's as clear as a bell. I mean, it's right there. And it's difficult to look at another and that they don't comprehend it. They don't, it's right over their head. And of course, then they get combative or caustic because you're imparting information. Now, how do we do that? Like my meditation yesterday, right? The only way that this civilization is going to turn the corner is to start going within, meditating, daily basis, like we do and have been doing for years with these meditations. Be in peace within. Then you begin to teach the children a whole different ball game. Nothing like it is today. Nothing. And so what do you teach the children? Right from the very beginning, you start talking with them about, do they know who and what they are? Now, maybe a few will kind of half guess it. But in eventuality, when you know who and what you are, and you move that forward with them, they will know who and what they are. How long will that take us just in our country? Probably take about another generation. So what do we look, 10 years? But our awareness has to be now. Because when you look at the fact that, and you're going to hear this more and more, you got to make babies. You don't have to. But if you want the civilization to thrive, you're going to make babies. The interesting part about that is it's not just making babies. You knowing who and what you are, and also knowing what your ego mind is, and also knowing about your thoughts, and going within. You start having babies, you can start teaching those young ones about who and what they are. And this entire civilization will go through a massive metamorphosis. Absolute. You imagine a planet where everybody on the planet is not caustically interactive, which means disagreeing and arguing and who's right and who's wrong and what's good and what's bad. Now, one might say, well, this is a good thing. It's been going on for centuries and eons and millennia. But it's a circle. And the circle's never been interrupted. Now, you can see that with our brothers and sisters on this planet, on how they are in this very now moment. Because they're trained in the material, physical world. And we can see how everything gravitates towards the material, physical world. Now, it's not a bad thing at all, because, heck, it's what we've been, for a very long time, it's how we've been trained to immerse ourselves. And the majority of us don't even know that there's something else other than this. Now, you're a spiritual being. All of us are. We're spiritual beings. We all are enlightened beings, and these are all discoveries that we have not made yet. We haven't really opened them up yet and embraced them. Sure, some of us are on the surface and looking and saying, aha. But it's pretty common sense. What would it be like that let's say that you were in heart-mind most all the time. Ego-mind was there, but kind of just coasting. You were mastering your thoughts. In other words, knowing which thoughts are yours and which thoughts aren't. Now, all the thoughts, the mind chatter that we all have, that noise, can be incessant at times. Over 60,000 thoughts replaying themselves over and over and over again. The interesting thing is that all those thoughts are somebody else's thoughts. They're not ours. Isn't that wild? Now, do we know that? Most of the people on this planet don't know that. Fraction do. I'd like to see it where everybody knew that. So we have this avenue, so to speak, this road, however you want to describe it, path. And how fascinating it is that when we turn inward, we start getting the answers to many things that for lifetimes we never discovered. How do you believe it would be on this planet if every one of us were heart-minded? Well, I'll give you a hint. We would all be self-governing. Right? We would all abide collectively in agreement that we would do no harm to ourselves or anything else. We would also comprehend that being in peace is the ultimate for us. Not being jostled around and agitated and irritated, and the society that we've created on this planet. And we've all kind of have our hat out there in different ways, whether we know it or not. But this society, the human psyche, can always be changed. Always. And it's constantly changing anyway. Moving into believing in oneself is huge. Believing in oneself, genuinely through heart-mindedness. Trusting in oneself through heart-mindedness. Having confidence in oneself. Faith in oneself. Now, once that happens, and it is a self-discovery for all of us, some discover, but others are still not, they haven't yet discovered. It isn't a race, as I've said. And you can see such a great teacher all of this has been for us. Such a great teacher. One of the master teachers this has been for us and continues. All of this shifting and revealing and exposing. And you know why it's such a great teacher? Because you can see, as a watcher or observer, of course, the diversity, right? But you can actually witness the huge swings of perspective on this planet in this very now moment. Huge swings. Perceiving and comprehending and putting things together. And do you think we're missing the boat, so to speak? Labels in our society. Labels, right? Mankind creates labels all the time. Complicates things that are as simple as the nose on your face. Everything's got to be complicated. Everything's got to be confusing to most people. Agreeing and disagreeing, so heavily ego mind controlled, directed, led, influenced, programmed. And you look and you see, what does it do? What does it do? Well, it shows us how many of us are completely disconnected, and I don't mean literally, figuratively, from the gods that we are in these bodies. I mean, you can see it. And because of how they respond and how they communicate and how they convey things. They have not a clue of who and what they are. This is why we have so many things on this planet that some of us sit there and our jaws drop into our laps because we're so blown away by what we're witnessing. Isn't it? It's crazy. And, you know, you'll shake your head, go, wow, this is... But we're really focused on what? We're focused on ourselves through heart-mindedness so that we begin to understand who and what we are. And as we go deeper and deeper and deeper within, we discover many things across the board. We go through forgiveness and acceptance and pain, sorrow, and then happiness and joy. You embrace all aspects of yourself, the good, the bad, the ugly. You forgive yourself on all fronts, genuinely. Can't do it ego-minded. That's just a temporary swing. But you can through heart-minded. And it's deciding, it's a choice. Choice for all of us. And just no one's going to make you do anything, really. So then you determine, okay, so what am I going to do? Am I going to stay on material physical? Or am I going to finally go within and start embracing the God that I am and discovering all the things about me? One might say, well, I thought we're supposed to help others. How are you going to help others when you don't know who and what you are? Well, you can, you will, but it's the impact and the power of it is very diminished. When you're diminished, you send out diminished frequencies, even though you're helping people. In some ways you are, in some ways you're not. And we have all these abilities. And this is why some of us, out of the clear blue, some primer happens in our lives, and we're never the same in that perspective, because you wake up, you become aware. And suddenly all the things that you were trained in this life, you start looking at them and go, these are all false. They're not real. What do you think the major effort by dark forces are? What do you think there? To do everything they can to keep us from discovering our true power. Bottom line. Well, how do they do that? Well, through the training, the programming, getting us to believe things. I mean, when you're a child, we know that. We've all been children. And it's kind of like we're this big, huge sponge that's thirsty all the time for information. So, what we've been trained, we share it with them. Then they become trained, and they share it then they share it with their kids, and that's how it works. This is why we've been in such a circle jerk as a civilization for so long. Because there's nothing that's interrupting that cycle. Like one says all of a sudden, I am a spiritual being, not a material physical being. But I can enjoy physical material in deep gratitude. I know that I'm a spiritual being, that I am the God, the kingdom of God, the heaven within this body. Now, when we discover that for ourselves, truly, through our heart minds, then we realize that every single thing you do to others will be done unto you. Absolute fact. Because we're all reflections of each other. And we're not separate, no matter how much dark forces want us to believe that. None of us are separate. We are all one. That's why I use the analogy or the depiction that you have your golden drop of the ocean. You contain the essence of that ocean. So when you drop into that ocean, you become that ocean. It's like anything you see around you. That's you. No, so that tree's not me. That's silly. Doesn't look like me. Doesn't have a consciousness. Oh, yes, it does. Any form of life is you. You are it, and it is you. Across the board. Doesn't matter what it is. It's the energetic life flow of all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, and forever. So we that life takes on all kinds of form. And we have so many opportunities to begin practicing. That is me, right? That's me. I am it. It is me. Because all of it, every bit of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, we have created. Could be through thoughts, generations of them, beliefs, whatever we focus on, we create. Whatever we focus on from any extended period of time, we create. Now, your choice is that, do I step through that door? Do I turn the handle and step through that door? Or do I stay where I'm at, following my master and commander, the ego mind? Just depends. Are you doing anything bad? No. It's our choice and our decision whenever that time comes, in this lifetime or the next 10 lifetimes. That's how it works. But we all know that the continued conflict of humanity, not being able to get along, has to end. We've been doing it a really, really, really long time. And it has to end. And I believe that the majority of us collectively agree with that. It must end. Conflict with ourselves, conflict with each other. Not understanding ourselves, not understanding each other. Having a difficult time loving ourselves, let alone others. And to believe that it's going to shift automatically is foolish. Because each one of us decides that we're going to make the shift. That the civilization moves more into peace and harmony with oneself and everyone else. Because isn't it disturbing? Isn't it? It is disturbing to see our fellow brothers and sisters in such turmoil. Disillusionment, fear, confusion. We see the name calling and the ridiculing and the chastising and all these things. They're not new. They've been around a long time. But I believe that more and more of us have decided that it's time that we really permanently come together and unify. And the only way that happens is for us to get committed, going within ourselves to discover all the things, who and what we are, our good parts, our bad parts. Embrace everything, forgive ourselves for anything that we may be carrying, not only in this lifetime, but others. And then practicing being still. Because that's where it all is, in stillness. And of course, we've been taught, you got to hurry, you got to get things done. If you don't get them done, oh boy, then the stress, then the anxiety, then the fear, then the worry. Gets old after so many thousands of years. Real old. And the only way that we're going to see this planet transform into New Earth is by our unification and working together to create it. That's it. Not relying on external influences to do it for us. Because we've done that. Not negative, but we viewed and observed what the outcome of that has been. And it didn't work. So you can see the picture. It's crystal clear. Puzzle pieces have been snapped into place. Now it's each of our decisions on whether or not this is what we're going to embrace. I'll join you in the meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy breath, slow, in through the nose. And take an easy breath, slow, out from the mouth. Remain still, relaxed into your body, focused on the breath rising and falling, space between heartbeats. Whatever your mind is challenged with life, let every thought melt into the feeling of infinite gentleness with you. Focus all of your attention on practicing self-gentleness today. Take a few moments to feel this deep, wonderful, gentle presence inside you now. Can you feel it? You will never be harmed or led astray by being truly gentle with you. Explore being more gentle with yourself than you have in your entire life. This is the fastest way to heal every wound and fear hiding inside. Self-gentleness is the most powerful, enlightening, and healing approach to this life, to any life. You are supported in this quest. This magical, intelligent ocean of existence is all around you now. Be kind and gentle with yourself for the next 24 hours and watch how the divine smoothness caresses all of your hard edges. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night and the following morning. And we will return here Monday, November 11, 2024, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. And again, be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's happening within you nor outside of you. Open your heart and allow the magic to flow in.